Okay, welcome back. We're talking about repetition. So right now I have a character class from 0 to 9 to 0 to 9 in order to get the 2. One of the ways you can do that is I can go in here and say plus. Now plus means one or more of the following thing. Okay, so the plus sign is attached to that square bracket guy, okay, which means one or more, which is pretty cool because now it did the testing 1, 2, 3, and the 87 both. Okay, so the little plus sign means one or more of the preceding thing that you just did. Cool. Okay. Now, there is a scenario which is a little weird, and I'm trying to figure out a way to, okay, so I'm going to put in some HTML here just to make sure. So I'm going to pretend like this is like a web page. So let's say I do a, I don't know, an H1 tag. This is the heading. And I'm going to do H1. And then I go down here to H2. And by the way, it's perfectly okay, and it's not considered an error in HTML to have a space there, right? You can have a space in there and it won't. So this is a smaller heading. Or it's not considered an error to have a space thrown in there. So I want to find all heading tags. Ooh, okay. So here's what I would start with. I would start with, okay, I need to find an H, and then a number, right? A number. And I think they only go up to 6, I think. Okay. But then what I want to do is I want to allow for the possibility of having some white space. Now, I haven't showed you the white space character yet, but it's the /s. Okay, /s means that. But when doing repetition, the plus sign meant one or more. Here, if I'm going to use an asterisk, and the asterisk means 0 or more. Ooh, okay. So the little asterisk guy. So this matches both the more traditional without a space and the one with a space. So the asterisk, all right, one more time. The plus sign means you have to have at least one, and I'll let you have as many as you want after that. The asterisk says you don't actually have to have any, but if you did, you can have as many as you wanted. Okay? Does that make sense? In fact, just to make this a little bit more clear, let's do an H3. Right? It doesn't matter how many you have. Right? So 0 spaces, 1 space, or however many the heck that is. Cool. So the plus and the asterisk are the way you do repetition. Okay, so one more time, just to make this absolutely perfectly clear. The none at all option, the asterisk, which means I could match none of them or all of them, is kind of special. It's kind of unique. So the plus sign, if I put a plus sign in here, okay, if I put a plus sign in here, it's going to match the ones that do have a space, but not the one without a space. Okay, so plus sign means you have to have a space, but I don't care how many. Asterisk means I don't have to have a space, but if you do, I don't care how many. Cool. All right, let's continue. There's a way that I'm going to just kind of sort of mention this. We talked about the parentheses thing. The parentheses is for, sometimes it's called grouping, sometimes it's called a sub-expression. Well, there's a thing called back reference. Now, we're not actually going to do that, but it will allow you to find something and then refer to it a second time. In other words, I want to find the example that I thought was brilliant. I'm not actually going to do it here. Is to find accidentally repeated words. Like if I accidentally put in like the right here, okay, and I want to find repeated words, what I would do is I'd use a sub-expression, find the word the, and then tell it that I want to find, I want to use it to capture that guy and try to find it after itself. In other words, find something, and then in this case, hunt for that, plus a space, plus that same thing over again. And so if you put in parentheses, it would be, I guess I'll do it, doggone it, rather than just talk about it. Dang. Okay, so here's how it would be. So I would say I'm hunting for the okay, so but I want to find only the ones that are doubled up. Okay, so I put this thing in parentheses like this to start this guy off. And then I say I want to find some white space, and then I want to refer back to that guy. And so I do /1. And that didn't work. Oh, because this guy has to be escaped. Wow. Okay. That's a bit weird. Okay, well, I can't tell you why this is not working, but what this should have done is it should have said find the, and then find the space, and then whatever the word you matched before, find it a second time. The stuff that was in parentheses, find it a second time using this little notation. Okay. It didn't work, but that's beside the point. Okay. So the next thing is, well, what if what I'm actually after is /B? How do you escape something? Okay. Which sounds a little weird, but yeah. Oh well. I don't know why they didn't work. Let's continue. So in here, I have some words that kind of sort of look like expressions. So for example, let's say, what the heck does /W plus do? Okay, so I want to find \W plus, but doesn't that look like, I mean, if I was just type that in, right? That would be finding all words. That's not what I had in mind, is it? So how do you go in and tell it, no. Well, the escape character is the \. So if I would really wanted to find backslashes, I would have to do that. Which means, no, this is not a regular expression string. It's really just a / with a W. Okay, that's all I want. But wait, how come I didn't get the plus? Well, I'm gonna have to escape that guy too. All right, so escaping means there's something in my text which looks like a regular expression, and so therefore I have to undo that magic. And you do it with the \. Now, in C#, when you do this, there is a way that you can copy and paste this into a C# application and using this thing called string literals, which makes it a lot easier. String literals basically in C# basically say don't process any backslashes, right? Just leave them the hell alone. Now, unfortunately, in Java there is no such thing, so you have no choice but every time there's a \, you're going to have to put a double \/ in, just like what we did here. Okay, just saying. So, for example, let's try to find I don't know, a web address. So www.kumquat.com. Okay, if I was going to find that guy, I would have to say www, but I'm going to have to escape the dot, because dot means anything. I don't want anything. I just want the dot, and then kumquat, and then escape it a second time. Right, like that? Cool. So that's how escapes work, is you something like a dot or a $, or a hat, or God only, or square bracket thing, whatever it is, make it go away temporarily. Okay, so some of the common escape characters is, you've seen these before, the /n for new line, /t for tab, /r for carriage return, those guys. So yeah, you've probably seen those before. Okay, the next section we're going to talk about, I know you guys are going, oh God, there's more? Well, yeah, unfortunately. The next one is what they call special escape characters. Kind of sort of like this. Okay, now we've used a couple of them already. We've used the W one, which means find all words. We've used the S one, which means find all white space. In fact, let's do this. If I went in here and said find all white space, cool. So it found all the multiples in there we did, right? So this is all white space. Cool beans? All right, if I said find all words, well then it's going to figure out what all the words mean to the best of its ability. Okay, notice that the words do not include punctuation, like the question mark or the colon, or if I had a period at the end, that kind of stuff. So words do not include, punctuation. And also words are kind of weird when you come across something like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know what the dash thing is. I mean, if you really, really wanted that to come up with one word, then you probably should come up with something slightly different. Anyway, so those are the two good ones that I use all the time, W and S. There's a lot. So W means all words. But if I did a capital W, that means all non-words. Okay? So now you get to learn what is a word and what is not a word. For example, a colon is not a word, a dot is not a word, a question mark is not a word, angle brackets are not words. Isn't that pretty cool? That's a good way to find out what words are, is by asking it what words are not. Hey, let's do this again. Here's space characters. What do you think the code is for not space characters? Yeah, you guessed it. It's a capital S. Capital S means not white space. Okay. There's a bunch of them, but another one is digits. So if I said D for digit, this will find everything that looks like a digit to me. Okay? Now wait a minute. This is not like math. If I said this thing cost $42. Okay, it's not going to pick up like the dollar sign or anything like that. But with $5.42. See how it doesn't do decimal points or commas like thousand separators. Doesn't do any of that stuff. Okay, cool. Hey, what happens, you think, if I did a capital D? That means anything it's not a digit, right? Okay, which is kind of dumb, but I can't imagine you'd ever do that, but that's beside the point. It exists. Now, there are a bunch of others, but to tell you the truth, I never use them. I use W for word, S for space, and D for digit. Cool. All right. So, what would this mean, a plus sign? How does that mean? Well, actually, it tells you right there. In other words, find one or more of the preceding tokens. In other words, one or more space words. Well, isn't that kind of sort of the same thing? I mean, nothing changed, right? You kind of see what I'm going for? The differences are kind of subtle. With just a /W, it lights up each one of the individual characters in the word. But with /W plus, it highlights the entire word. The next thing, by the way, we're almost done, so don't panic. The next thing is what's called quantifiers. This is kind of sort of like the thing with the plus and the asterisk. Remember that guy? They were called repetition. But instead of just saying one or more or zero or more, I want to be very, very specific. Okay? Like, for example, if I have, I don't know, let's put in a social security number. My social security number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, whatever. I can't type. All right. So if I want to find this, I can use repetition. So first of all, those are digits, are they not? Yeah, they're digits, aren't they? Okay. So I'm going to say /D. That's going to get me started, right? And then I want to say I want exactly 3 digits for the first part. 3 in curly braces. Okay, exactly 3. So didn't do exactly what I wanted, as you can tell there. But we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, so we're going to finish this off in just a few.